Now, over the years, I have squirreled away literally thousands of these stories in my file. And I dare say that in that time, I have become one of the world's leading experts on the lack of expertise. And if there is anything I don't know about ignorance, I don't know what it would be. I'm going to take you through all 9 of these basic mistakes that became our latest book, Hallmarks, the 9 Hallmarks of Highly Incompetent Losers. And I'm going to give you, I swear to God, actual examples ripped from the headlines of each of them. I'm going to teach you step by step how to become an incompetent loser. And I do this in the hope that, like most people who attend lectures, you are going to leave this room and go out into the world and do the exact opposite of everything you hear today. Now, by the way, one word of warning, if we begin to list these hallmarks, you're going to start thinking, well, he's just telling us a lot of obvious stuff everybody already knows. And you're going to be half right. This is a lot of obvious stuff, but not everybody knows it. That's going to become abundantly clear the longer I go on. Okay, let's begin here with loser hallmark number 1. And let's get this one. Aha! Never plan ahead. Oh, come on, reader. Everybody knows that if you want a successful project, you got to plan ahead. Everybody knows that. Au contraire. Now, this is the most common dumb mistake of all. I have a bulging pile of stories to prove it. In fact, there's one story that is so common, I get a version of this about once a month. And this is the story. Some burglar somewhere has seen too many Die Hard movies. And he thinks that air conditioning ducts are big enough for Bruce Willis and the sidekick to crawl through side by side while exchanging snappy repartee. Well, if he had done any planning in advance, he might have realized that air conditioning ducts are most of them not this big. So he gets in there, starts crawling through, and he gets stuck. And they have to call the fire department to come out, spray WD-40 all over him, pull him out, get him out of there. Now, we have gotten this story so many times, we don't make fun of it anymore. It's comedically exhausted. It's not even worth joking about. All right, one. A couple of years ago, some twit out in Tampa, Florida, decided to break into a store by crawling through the air conditioning vent. Now, this particular air conditioning vent was like these here. It ended in the ceiling. So he gets as far as that vent there, that grate. He kicks that out with his legs. He gets his legs through the ceiling like this. That's where he gets stuck. So he's just dangling from the ceiling like this. It gets worse. Yeah. He hadn't done enough planning in advance to find out the hours of the store. It was a 7-Eleven open 24 hours a day. So it's 2 a.m. and he's dangling from the ceiling like this in front of 13 customers and 2 clerks who are all just looking. It gets worse. He has chosen to do this surprise impression of a breechbird directly above the donut counter. Take a wild guess who's standing at a 7-Eleven donut counter. That's right, 2 cops. Now, even I had to admit that was taking poor planning to a whole new level. But I've got plenty more examples of this without even getting into the burglars. There was a Romanian man who decided to get rid of his head lice by shampooing his hair with gasoline. But he didn't plan this ahead far enough to think about how he was going to dry his hair once it was soaking with gasoline, so he bent over a blazing wood stove. Don't worry, he's okay. His wife put his head out with a blanket. I have to admit, it did kill the light. You're probably thinking, okay, those are dumb guys. And every wife knows if you leave a dumb guy alone long enough, he'll think of some stupid thing to do. So that doesn't apply, though, to smart people. Smart people with college degrees who work in professional jobs surrounded by other people with college degrees, work in offices and government agencies on multi-million-dollar projects. There is no way a dumb planning error would think people like that. To which I would respond with 3 letters, XFL. The Extreme Football League. While you're trying
person, no matter how well educated, no company, no matter how large, is immune to making a simple planning error and just screwing up royally. For example, one of Israel's leading architects was hired to design a library building for Israel's academic engineering college. And he thought, this is the chance to show off all my brilliant new design ideas. So he filled the building with them, and one of them was that he wanted to put strips of clear lucite in the floors and ceilings so that sunlight would come all the way down from the roof to the lobby. Isn't that brilliant? Well, it was only after they built the library building that they realized that men on the lower floors could look right up the skirts of women. Now, the architect admitted he had gotten so carried away with his computerized design elements, he forgot to consider why it is that women don't like glass ceilings.
Now, here's a little story I don't ordinarily tell, but I know you don't really want to get back to what you were doing, so I'm going to make this a little longer. This is a personal story. This is something that happened to me in my own corporate experience. About 15, 16 years ago, I took a job as the writer for a pilot program for a major telecommunications company here in this area out here in Las Vegas. And it turned out there wasn't all that much work to do with this particular job. So I very quickly found myself working under the head of the marketing department, writing all the materials that had to be seen by the general public, things like pamphlets and surveys and marketing pieces, things like that. They'd never had anybody there who knew how to do it, so there was a ton of work, and I was just there from morning till night doing it. Well, one day my boss called me into her office, and she said, Pat, we've gotten word from corporate that the pilot program you were hired under is being done away with, so your job is being eliminated. But we really like you. We want you to stay with the company, so I'm prepared to offer you a job as a marketing analyst at a raise in pay. And I should have said, thank you, but there's this tiny problem. I'm not a marketing analyst. I've never had any experience, training, no interest really in being a marketing analyst. So I said to her, but I'm not a marketing analyst. She said, that's okay. The company will pay to train you to become a marketing analyst. Again, I probably should have said thank you, but I knew there were people lining up for this job, and people who actually knew how to do it. So I said, do you really need another marketing analyst that badly? She said, well, no, we have dozens of marketing analysts. I said, well, okay, if you've got enough money to pay a marketing analyst you don't need, why don't you just keep me doing the exact same thing I'm doing and pay me out of the marketing budget? No, that's impossible. Why? Well, in order to do that, we would have to give you a new job title. And to create a new job title, according to company policy, we have to bring in this big auditing firm who will do a 6-month, $80,000 feasibility study to determine if the job is needed, what the duty should be, what the pay should be, what the title should be, and where it should fall in the corporate organizational chart. I said, well, we know it's needed because I'm currently doing it from morning till night. We know what the duties are because I'm doing them. I know what the pay is because you're paying me. You're my boss, so I assume I fall under you in the charge, and I really don't care what the title is. Why do we need a 6-month, $80,000 feasibility study? And she said, that's just the way it is. Now, do you want to be a marketing analyst or not? Well, this is an example of a corporation where following the company policy had become so much more important than actually getting the work done that needed to be done, that from their point of view, it made more sense to pay, to train me, to do a job they didn't need to have done at a higher rate of pay than to keep me there doing a job they did need to have done at a lower rate of pay. Now, it often happened during my corporate years. It fell to me to cut through all of this and solve the problem for them, and I did. I quit.